I want to talk about something I thought of advantages for using metamaterials to design better glasses. These glasses could be made much lighter weight and a lot of other things, but mainly I want to talk about making glasses that give you a better field of vision, because currently a lot of glasses, especially with the thicker lenses, your eyesight on both your peripheries, so on your sides, are cut off because your glasses don't extend, can't curve well around that area. The same as with sunglasses. It's not a huge deal, but it is an annoyance, and the worse your vision is, the more of an annoyance it is. Also, glasses don't work slightly less well from certain centers. And I think this can be fixed with metamaterials, because metamaterials can be made to focus light in any way, in any shape, the same. So you don't have to have this optics that we usually have with bigger lenses. Now, briefly, what are metamaterials? Well, metamaterials are a group of many materials where the fine structure of the material itself determines its properties much more than the material it's made out of. To explain this simply is, if you were to build something out of, I don't care if I build it out of metal or not, I care if the metal beams or whatever's making it, is it a solid chunk of metal? Does it have metal beams? Is it made out of a lot of little metal beams connected? And if I make something with a bunch of metal beams that connect instead of a solid piece of metal, that structure might be a lot more lightweight, but it might be nearly as strong. Metamaterials are a lot finer than that. They usually consider them big beams, but they'll have like a fine structure that gives them odd properties that a bulk material doesn't have, such as bouncing light waves in very weird ways, or waves in general, and they can be used to make invisibility in close. And it's all the super fine structures. Now, some of them don't have super fine structures because the fine structures are always in comparison to what you're studying. So for like light waves, we want to talk about the nanometer scales. But for microwaves, the structures can be on the order of millimeters to centimeters. For radio waves, it can be on the order of meters. and it's really visible. So briefly, how do metamaterials able to bend light in weird ways? Well, one is if you have blocks of super fine next to each other that are fast, that are bending, and F is for fast, S is for slow, fast, slow, you can take the light that hits the fast one block and then it can bend into a slow one. And you can take the block that hits the fast one and slow one, and this can concentrate light so it goes along the slow channels. If you have a bunch of slow channels that have slightly different shapes, like the slow, put this into reds. Now, slow, fast, slow, and this is the world's worst reds. The light goes all along these wedges and focuses down to a spot. So you can just guide them along these weird channels. Very fine focus. Now, for the guide along these channels, actually, these features have to be smaller than the wavelength of light. But you can do it. Another way of doing it is you can use it that it scatters the light. So light comes in here, focus, and then comes out in all different directions. Now, when it scatters the light in all these different directions, because of all these tiny little particles, you can actually make all those scattered beams. And scattered light can interfere with each other, and that means that interference can make waves go up, stronger or weaker in places. And that can actually, if it do a lot of really fancy math and build up a lot of interference where waves get stronger and weaker in certain places, you can focus light waves and really well in weird ways. The last way, and all these are not exclusive, by the way, is you can take it and make it so in the material it varies its refractive index and becomes more and more refractive by having more and more particles that have a higher refractivity towards the center or different parts of it, and then, or less, and then it can bend it along lines of the changing refractive index much more smoothly by having these small inclusions. So you have all these effects to make this lens that could really bend, that you can make in more of a goggle shape to focus. Here's the big catch for this idea. Is making metamaterials for visible light, we're getting closer and closer, but it's still really hard because of just the fine structure we would need to do it. However, with self-assembly ones and new etching techniques, it might happen. Who knows? Just an idea I have. It could also lead to weirdly shaped cameras in the future, which might have its neat uses, having a camera that's not without a flat lens, maybe on a nose cone or something. Well, thank you very much for listening. Please like and subscribe. It really helps the channel out. Goodbye.